All right. So in the second test, if you had this, what would you do first? Okay, so use distributive property. And so this right here becomes what? Negative 6x plus 3. And then what about this? All right. And then minus x is less than or equal to. Now what does this become? So you're distributing a negative 1. So negative 1 times 3x is negative 3x, and negative 1 times positive 1 is a negative 1, and then plus 5. All right, so that'll be the first step. What's the next step? Combine like terms. On the left side, what can you combine?
Variable.
Okay, so there are, let's see, a negative 6x, a negative 2x, and a negative x. What's that? Negative 9x, okay. And then your constants, a positive 3 and a negative 2. Positive 1 is less than or equal to. And over here, what can you combine? The constants. What's a negative 1 and a positive 5? So the expression on the left, on the right, is going to be negative 3x plus 4. All right. Now remember, this is a linear inequality. So just like a linear equation, bring all the variables one side, constants to the other. And since this is an inequality, it doesn't matter, but you may want to bring the variables to the left. Add 3x, okay. Subtracting 3x is not going to help you. You have to add 3x because you have to think of opposites. So you want these two to add up to be 0. Okay, so what property did I just use here? The addition property of what? Inequality. That's an inequality. So that's the addition property of inequality. All right, and then the next step is to combine like terms. So what's the negative 9x and 3x? Plus 1 is less than or equal to 4. What's the next step?
Subtract 1.
Okay. Then combine like terms. What do I get? Negative 6x is less than or equal to 3. All right, so what's the next step? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this part for right now. So negative 6x is less than or equal to 3, so you can divide both sides by negative 6, right? All right, so negative 6 divided by negative 6 is 1. 1 times x is x. What are you going to write? X is what? What'd you say? Yes, so remember when you divide and multiply an inequality by a negative number, you got to reverse this inequality symbol. So it helps when you divide by a negative number to circle this to remind you to reverse it. So don't say x is less than or equal to whatever this simplified is. You got to say x is greater than or equal to. Now what's negative 3 divided by negative 6 reduced? What is it? Negative 1/2. All right. And then you're also going to have to graph this. So let's talk about the graphing. Now remember, how many solutions are there? How many? An infinite number. There's an infinite number of solutions. So if this is 0, this is negative 1, this is negative 2, this is negative 3, between what two numbers is negative 1/2? Negative 1 and 0 in the middle, right?
Right.
And am I going to use an open or closed circle?
Closed.
Closed because of the equal sign. Now what does the equal sign closed idea mean?
Bracket.
No, but what does that mean in terms of your solutions? Is negative 1/2 a solution or not a solution? Say it again? It is a solution. So close parentheses, and I want all the solutions that are, so my solutions are any number that's bigger than or equal to what? Negative 1/2. So I'm going to go to the right with an arrow. Okay. Then we talked about set notation, interval notation. So let's do interval notation first. What would the interval notation look like? Bracket, good. So remember, you go from left to right, small to large. So negative 1/2, comma, infinity with parentheses. Good. Remember, infinity, negative infinity is always parentheses. And then set notation, you're going to say, that's those braces. So the set of x's such that, and you just rewrite this over. Such that what? Negative 1/2. Okay? All right. Yep, right here. The brace. Called brace. Okay, now let's look at this one. And let's suppose you had suppose you had 1/3 times 2x minus 3 is greater than 1/2 times x plus 5. So different approaches you can take here. A couple of approaches you can start with. What might you want to try first? Okay, so you have parentheses, there's a number in front, so distributive property, okay? All right, so what's 1/3 times 2x? 2/3 x. Minus, what's 1/3 of 3? 1. Okay, good. Is greater than, what's 1/2 of x? 1/2 x plus, what's 1/2 of 5? What fraction is that? 5 over 2, so 5/2. All right. So if this was an equation, what would be the next step? Thinking about a worksheet that you had to do with those certain directions.
Get rid of fractions.
Get rid of the fractions. Find the LCD. Now remember, the directions will say on the test, for the equation part, it will say use the LCD. So you got to use the LCD. What's the LCD here? 6. If you use 12, 12 will work, but is 12 the LCD? No. So if it says use the LCD and use 12, you're not going to get your full credit. You got to use the LCD. Huh?
Unless you reduce farther.
No. Because the directions will say use the LCD. It didn't say use a common denominator. It said use the least common denominator. So that's why reading the directions are important. All right, so the LCD is 6. All right, so thinking about when you had those equations, what would you do next here? Put what? Put them in parentheses. Good. Since I have more than one term on each side, put both sides in parentheses. So just like this. And then you're going to multiply by what? 6. So just like this. So that will be your next step. Now what's the next step after that? Distributive property again. All right, now at this point, the whole purpose of multiplying by the LCD is when you distribute again, you no longer have those fractions. So you got to think about this. What is 6 times 2/3? Right, because 3. Now you could say 6 times 2 is 12, and what's 12 divided by 3? 4. You can do that. Or you can say, you can reduce first. 3 into 3 is 1, 3 into 6 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4. So it doesn't matter what approach you take. But what is 6 times 2/3 x though? 4x. Minus, what's 6 times 1? 6. So the expression on the left side is 4x minus 6. Is greater than, all right, now what's 6 times 1/2 x? 3 what? X. Plus, all right, so we have this. We have 6 times 5/2. You can multiply first and then reduce. If I multiply first, 6 times 5 is 30. 30 divided by 2 is 15. Or you can reduce first. 2 to 2 is 1. 2 to 6 is 3. 3 times 5 is 15. So this becomes 3x plus 15. All right, now what's the next step? So now you notice there's no longer any fractions.
Yeah, boy.
Okay, what's the next step?
Combine like that.
Nope. Well, yeah, the next step would be that, but there's no like terms to combine. So what will be the next step? Bring the variables one side, constants to the other. So what do you want to do first? Subtract 3x. All right, and then 4x minus 3x is x. So I get x minus 6 is greater than, remember this is 0 right here. And what are you left with? 15. And then finally, add 6 to both sides. Combine like terms. So my solutions are any number, any real number that's greater than 21. All right? And so on the number line, now one of the worksheets, you may have had to extend the number line. Okay. So if this is 0 and this is 21, what would you have on 21? Open circle, meaning that 21 is or is not a solution? It's not. And you want all the numbers, all the real numbers that are greater than that to the right. So anything shaded is a solution. What's interval notation?
It would be parentheses,
Mm-hmm.
21,
Infinity, parentheses. Okay, set notation, the brace. So the set of x's such that x is greater than 21. Okay. Now the other way you could have done that, now most people will do this by distributing first because that's normally what you were told to do. But you could have done this also, so I just want you to notice this. Doing the same problem. We'll go ahead and rewrite the problem over. So this is our problem. So again, the LCD, what's the LCD? 6. All right, so without distributing first, I'm just going to go ahead and multiply both sides by 6. So look how it looks. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this inequality. Okay, so this is where I'm going to multiply both sides by 6. Let's say times 6 times 6, right? Okay, now remember I'm going to read the left side for you. This says 6 times 1/3 times 2x minus 3. So this is all multiplication. And remember, you multiply from left to right. Same thing here. 6 times 1/2 times x plus 5. All right, so if I use the order of operations and multiply from left to right, what's 6 times 1/3? I'm looking at this for right now. What's 6 times 1/3? 6 times 1/3? Huh? 2. So that's 2 right here. Now what do I do with this 2? Distribute the 2. And so what's 2 times 2x? What's 2 times negative 3? And notice, don't you get that same thing here?
Yeah.
Okay? So it doesn't matter which approach you take. Same thing here. What's 6 times 1/2? And then you distribute the 3. So that'll be 3x plus what? 15, which is what this is. Okay? So I'm just going to put etc. here. Because you already did it, right? You already did it. But let me do this for right now. Let me go ahead and remember how we brought the variables on the left side? Let me bring the variables to the right side, just show you what's going to happen. So let me go ahead and take this off, and let's just bring them to the right. Now normally though, it's more helpful if you, with inequalities, if you bring the variables to the left. But it does not matter. So I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides. Is that correct? 4x subtract 4x is 0. And what's 0 subtract 6? Negative 6 is greater than. Now be careful when you do that though. What's 3x minus 4x?
Negative 1x.
Negative 1x or just negative x. I'm going to go ahead and write as negative 1x for right now. And then plus 15. All right, so that's where I'm at. Then what's the next step?
Divided by
Not yet. You got to get rid of that constant. You got to bring the constant to one side now. Remember, always do the multiplication property of inequality at the end. Subtract 15 from both sides. And then combine like terms. What's a negative 6 and a negative 15? Negative 21 is greater than, and that's 0, right? What's that greater than, though? Negative 1x. All right, so that's where I'm at. All right, so I got to get x by itself. This is not x. This is negative x. So how do I get x by itself? Divide both sides by negative 1. So I'll go ahead and rewrite this over. Now remember, I'm dividing by negative numbers, so when you multiply, divide by negative number, circle this to remind you to reverse it. So what's a negative divided by negative? So this side is 21 is less than x. Okay? Now remember, when you're writing this, we talked about this, sometimes you kind of don't think very well, and you, especially on a test when you're trying to rush. So you got to be careful because the variable is not on the left, the variable is on the right. So what that means is, first of all, is there going to be an open or closed circle on 21. Open, just like before. There's no equal signs. That means 21 is not a solution. But the mistake you're going to make, you can see that less than, you're going to think to the left. But what that means is that 21 is the smallest of all the real numbers. So that means all your solutions have to be what? Bigger than that. So when you have the variable on the right side, make sure you rewrite it to where the variable's on the left. So you just write it backwards. So x is, 21 is less than x, means x is what? Greater than 21. Okay? All right. All right, so just be aware of that. Okay, so now last time we were, and if you to get the handout out, where you had those word problems. So I can't assign 9.7 yet. 9.7 is the one with inequalities because our word problems are 9.7. And they're inequality word problems. And before we can do the inequality word problems, we got to talk about the equation word problems. So that's 9.4. Let's go ahead and take this out. And I think I gave you 9.4 part A, right? Okay. All right, so let's look at this example. I'm going to write this down. Now, you're going to need that handout in a little while, but go ahead and write this down for a moment. Okay. So this is a review of 9.4. Review of 9.4. And what we're looking at so far in 9.4 is the translation word problems. Put what down? Oh, okay. All right, translation word problems. So basically, as you read the problem, you write out what it says. All right. So, example. All right. Write down these words. So it says the quotient. The quotient of a number in 3 is the same as the difference of the number in 2. And then you're going to find the number. So the quotient of a number and 3 is the same as the difference of a number and 2. And we'll find the number. All right, so remember on that worksheet you got, and from the notes from the previous class period, you indicate your unknown. So you would write the unknown. Now again, as we discussed, don't just say unknown is x. You're not going to get any points for that part. You got to say what? Let
Just write it out.
let x equal the no.
Let
The
X be
number.
unknown.
No. Don't say let x equal the unknown. You're told what you want to find. What you want to find. Does it say find the unknown? No, it says find the what? The number. So you got to say let x equal the number.
The number.
Okay, now we're going to set up the equation. So this is a translation word problem. So as you read the sentence, you write out what it says. All right, the first part. What is quotient? What does that mean?
Divide.
Division. Okay. So you're dividing, so it says the quotient of a number and 3. No, that's not multiplication. You just said it was division.
With the number and 3.
Yeah. Quotient of a number and 3. So what's the numerator? No, quotient of a number and 3. What's listed first? The number's listed first. What's listed second? 3. So the first thing listed is the numerator. Second thing listed is the denominator. So what's that first expression? Let's use x. X over 3. So so that right there is the quotient of a number and 3. Is the same, what's that? Equal. Is the same as the difference. What do you think of when you think of difference? Subtraction. So I have a subtraction here of a number and 2. So what's that expression going to be? X minus 2. Not 2 minus x, x minus 2. The order stays the same. The only time you reverse it is with what words?
Subtracted from or less.
Subtracted from or less than. You're doing very well in this. Good. Okay, so there's your equation. All right, and then just think about how to solve that equation. So let's go ahead and use the LCD. What's the LCD? Nope. Now you can use 6, but that's not the least common denominator. What's the least common denominator? 3. Least common denominator is 3. All right. Now, do I need parentheses on both sides? No. I only need parentheses on which side? The right, because the left side is just one fraction. Here I have 2 terms. So both of those have to be multiplied by what? 3. All right, so you can do this. You're going to say, so the LCD is 3, remember? So put that in parentheses, and each of those sides have to be multiplied by 3. What you do to one side, you do to the other. Remember, the whole purpose of multiplying by the LCD is get rid of this denominator 3 right here. And you do, because 3 into 3 is 1. 3 into 3 is 1. So that is just what? 1 XR x. Equal. Now how do I deal with this? Distribute. So that's 3x minus 6. All right. So I no longer have fractions to deal with. So what's the next step? Bring all the variables to one side, cancel the other. Does not matter which side you bring the variables on. So what do you want to do? You want to subtract 3x, okay? So you bring the variables to the left side. So it's x and a negative 3x. Not 2x, negative 2x. Equal. This is 0. And what's left? Negative 6. And then what's the next step? Divide by negative 2. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 is 1. 1 times x is x. And what's x equal to? Positive 3. And negative divided by negative is a positive. And then it's going to ask you to answer the question or whatever they want you to do as a sentence. So you're just going to don't say in that box, don't say x equals 3 because I already know what x equals. What are you trying to find? The number. So you say the number is 3.
That's the answer, the number.
Yep, that's the answer. All right. Okay, let's look at this one. All right, double the sum of a number in 6 so double the sum of a number in 6 is the opposite of the number. The opposite of the number. And you want to find the number. All right, so double the sum of a number in 6 is the opposite of the number. So you find the number. All right, what's your unknown? What are you going to let x equal?
Number.
The number. So let's equal the number. So with your unknown, then you set up the equation. All right, let's do the first part. So what are you doubling? The sum of what? A number and 6. All right, so let's talk about the sum of a number and 6. How do you represent the sum of a number and 6? X plus 6. No, so what do you do with that x plus 6? You doubling it, which means you put in parentheses and multiply by 2. Okay. So the equation will be 2 times x plus 6. So that's what that first part represents. So double the sum of a number in 6. All right, let's talk about the word opposite. So if I have the number 5, what's the opposite of 5? If I have the number negative 8, what's the opposite of a negative 8? Positive 8. So opposite means if you look at the number line, opposite sides of 0 on the number line. So here you're saying that right here, that expression is, and how do you write is? The opposite of the number. What is my number represented as? What's the number represented as? X. So how do you represent the opposite of x? Negative x. So there's your equation. So double the sum of a number in 6 is the opposite of the number. So it didn't say is the number, is what? The opposite of the number. So if it said is the number, then that would be x. But the opposite of the number means negative x. All right. What's the next step? Now you're going to solve the equation. Distribute. Yep. So once you get the equation, the rest is easy. All right, what's the next step? Okay, so how do you want to approach that? Subtract 2x from both sides, okay. You can definitely do that. What you do one side, you do the other, and subtracting 2x is going to help. 2x minus 2x is 0. So what's left? 12 equal negative 3x. Divide by negative 3. And so my number is what? Negative 4. So that's your number. So you solve the equation. So the solution to the equation is negative 4, which means that the number is negative 4.
Can you tell me why it was, were you just, using a 10 plus X equals the number as like an example of just to kind of lay the foundation?
Because, did you know what the opposite of a number is?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was just explaining that if you have the number 10, the opposite of 10 is negative 10.
Got it, okay.
That's all that was. It had nothing to do with the equation.
Oh.
It had to do with understanding what the word opposite means.
Okay, got it.
All right.
Mr. D, did you do Mardi Gras this year?
Let's see. I'm trying to see if this thing has the word Mardi Gras in it. No, I did not. I don't do Mardi Gras. No, I don't do parades. I do enjoy the day, though, but I don't do parades. All right, too many people. And too many, sometimes intoxicated people. All right. Okay, now go ahead and take out your handout. And we're going to look at number 12. Actually, let's do number 10. Number 10. All right, number 10. Okay, now on your worksheet and on the test on the final, they're not going to have this diagram drawn for you, so just go ahead and kind of not look at this at all. So that diagram won't be drawn for you. So as we go through this, though, we're going to look at the words and how it applies to this piece of rope. Okay, so you're told that this rope is how long? 46 feet, right? So you have this rope. All right, you have this rope. And the total length of the rope is 46 feet, correct?
Correct.
So I'm going to indicate that this is 46 feet. All right, and what are you told you're doing to this rope? Cutting it into 3 pieces. All right, so there, nowhere in there does it indicate that the pieces are of equal length. So I'm just going to say, do something like this. So I cut this rope into 3 pieces. All right, then it says this. So this 46-foot piece of rope is going to 3 pieces so that the second piece is 3 times as long as the first piece, and the third piece is 2 feet more than 7 times the length of the first piece. Okay? So you want to find the length of the pieces. All right, so how many pieces are you trying to find? 3. All right, so in terms of what you're looking for 3 things. And we're going to denote those 3 things using the words that are in this problem. So they talk about the first piece, right? They talk about what else? Second piece. Then they talk about the third piece, correct? All right, and so this is going to help me with the unknowns. So when you get that worksheet, part B, when you get the worksheet on part B, it's going to say represent the unknowns, just like the part A did, except in this case, it's going to be how many unknowns? 3. All right, now go back to the problem, and we got to determine which one of these is going to represent the letter X. You got to let one of those be X. Now, it matters which one it is. You just can't let any of these be X. All right, so read the problem. It says this. The second piece, so I'm writing out what it says. The second piece is means what? Equal. I'm writing it out. 2 feet, I'm sorry, wrong sentence. The second piece is 3 times as long as the first piece. So meaning 3 times as long means what? 3 times. Yeah, you're on the right track, but I'm going to write it as 3 times the first piece, right? So that's 3 times the first. See how I wrote it? So the second piece is 3 times whatever the first piece is. So the first piece is 5 feet, then the second piece is what? 15 feet. If the first piece is 10 feet, then the second piece is 30 feet. That's what that sentence or that part of the sentence implies. Then he goes on to say the third piece. So remember, this is our thought processes right here. So then it says the third piece is 2 feet more. So 2 feet more means what? 2 plus. So is 2 feet more, so 2 plus, 7 times the length of the first piece. So what does that part mean? 7 times the first. All right, so that's where we're at. And then it says, find the pieces. So you're told the second piece is 3 times the first. The third piece is 2 plus 7 times the first, right?
Yeah.
So of those 3 unknowns, which one do you think will let X be?
The first.
The first. Very good, because if you notice the thought processes, what's listed in both of those?
The first.
First. So let X equal the first. So that's why sometimes it helps if you read the sentence and write out what it's saying. Now, once you know the first, you can tell me what the second is. The second is 3 what?
Times X.
Times X.
So 3X.
Yep. And then the third is 2 plus what?
7 times X.
7X. So there's your unknowns. That's your unknowns. So the first piece is X, the second piece is 3X, and the third piece is 2 plus 7X. So remember, the first was what was in common, right? So that's what you would let X be. Now what we're going to do now is, see how I cut this into 3 pieces? I'm just going to call this my first piece, and this will be my second piece. So this will be what?
3X.
3X. And this will be my third piece, which would be
2 plus 7.
7X. All right. Now I've got to set up an equation. So what do you think your equation will be? What haven't I used so far? The 46. What does that 46 represent? The total length of the rope. Well, that total length of the rope, that 46, is made up of how many pieces? 3 pieces. What are those 3 pieces? X, 3X, and 2 plus 7X, which means if I do what? Add them up, they better equal what? 46. So what do you think your equation will be? X plus 3X plus has to equal 46. So there's your equation. So when you add up those 3 pieces, the first piece, second piece, and third piece, when you add them up, the better equals what? 46. Because that's how long you're told the rope is. So that,
We combine like them.
yeah, the rest is easy. The rest is something you did since day 1 or 2. So combine like terms. So what's that? 11X plus 2 equal 46. Subtract 2. So it's 11X equal 2. Then divide by 11. Not 11X, but 11. So what's X equal to? 4. All right, so that's where we're at. All right, then you're going to answer the problem. What is it they want you to find?
The length of all the pieces.
Find the length of the 3 pieces, right? Okay, so as a sentence, you're going to say first piece is this long, second piece is this long, third piece is this long. Okay?
So then you would plug 4 into all the.
Very good. So all you got to do is go back to, see where you had those unknowns? there was a worksheet earlier where you had to evaluate. So wherever you saw the variable x, you plug in the number and you find out what that expression equals to. So that's where this comes into play. So my first piece is what? 4. Whatever, what's the units here? Feet, so 4 feet. My second piece is 3 times 4, which is what? 12 feet. And my third piece is 2 plus 7 times 4. So the order of operations, you got to say 7 times 4 is 28 plus 2 is 30 feet. So that's where you would find those lengths. Go back to your unknowns. And when you add them up, they better equal 46. All right, so to answer the question or answer the problem,
Find the length of the pieces.
all right, so you can say the length, or you can say the length of each piece are or is.
4 feet, 12 feet, 3.
Yeah, it's fine. Length of the 3 pieces. Length of the 3 pieces are, and they are 4 feet, 12 feet, and 30 feet. Okay? Now, these when you start working these are not easy things to deal with. Once you set it up, and hopefully you set up correctly, the rest is easy. But it's setting it up, and when setting it up, you gotta have those thought processes in your mind here. All right, so let's look at 12. 12 is the same idea. You're looking at a piece of board this time, but again, don't look at the diagram that's there. All right, so this is 12. All right, so number 12, you're told this time that this beam or board is how many feet long? 21 feet. So you have this board that is 21 feet. And it's cut into how many pieces? So how many pieces, though? 2. So let's just say we're looking at those 2 pieces. All right, it says this. It says, now this time they're using the words longer and shorter this time, whereas before they used the word first, second, and third. So we're looking at so it says that the longer piece is 1 foot more than 3 times the length of the shorter piece. Now, they're telling you where they want you to let x equals. They're not going to do that on the final. But they're saying let x equal what? Length of the shorter piece. But think about why. So we'll talk about why. So we did this one. See how we had that the second piece is 3 times the first? So you let x be the first, because then you'd say second is 3 what? X. So when you look at number 12, you're told the longer piece is 1 foot more, meaning 1 what? 1 foot more than. Okay, if I say I'm 1 foot taller, I wouldn't say more taller, but 1 foot taller than you, then that means I'm what?
1 plus 3.
1 plus, right? Okay. So 1 foot more than means what? 1 plus. Okay, 3 times the length of the shorter, so 3 times shorter. Okay. Now do you see why you can let x be the shorter? Because you have the longer piece here, and then the shorter is on the other side, so that's going to be x. So that's your thought process right here. Okay, now let's talk about the unknowns. So here are my unknowns. There are 2 things I want to find. What are they? Shorter piece and the longer piece. We gotta let X be one of those. It's easier if you let X be the shorter piece. Okay, once you know that X is a shorter piece, and using your thought process as you read the statement to determine how to represent the longer piece. So the longer piece is 1 plus what? 3 times what though? But tell me what that 3x, okay. So there are your unknowns. So shorter piece is X, longer piece is 1 plus 3x. And then the rest is just like we did in number 10. So go back to the diagram, and you can't always draw a diagram, but sometimes if you can, it does help. So let's say this is my shorter piece right here, so I'm going to call this X, and this will be what?
1 plus 3x.
1 plus 3x. Now, how are you going to set up the equation?
So it'd be X plus 1 plus 3X.
Yeah, so you add up the two pieces, and it has to equal how many feet? 21. So your equation, you say X plus 1 plus 3x has to equal what? 21. So there's your equation. All right, and once you get the equation, the rest is first week, combine like terms. So that's 4x plus 1, is that correct? Equal 21? Uh-huh. So 4x equal, so what's x? X is 5. All right, now remember, you got to answer whatever you're trying to find. So to do that, go back to where your unknowns are listed. So if my shorter piece is x, that means my shorter piece is how many feet? Shorter 5 feet, right? The longer piece is 16. So the longer piece would be 1 plus 3 times 5. Order of operation, you multiply before you add. 15 plus 1 is 16 feet. And so you would say the length of the pieces are, you could see, yeah, you could write it several ways, but as long as you're indicating to me what the lengths are. So the lengths of the two pieces, or you could say the shorter piece is 5 feet and the longer piece is 16 feet. You can write it like that, does not matter. Or you can just say the lengths of the two pieces are 5 feet and 16 feet.
So we always combine the whole problem like that? Is there a way at all to separate them?
What do you mean by combine and separate?
X plus 1 plus 3x equals 21. Like, is there a way to solve just for the shorter and then just...
No.
It's
You have to
always
set up an
gonna be-
equation.
It's always going to be that. Okay.
Yes.
It makes it easier. I just didn't know if there was going to be
Mm-mm.
a time when you have to...
No, you have to use all that information. So the information, you got to use that 21 feet that's there, which indicates that you got to add the pieces together. Okay? All right, now, let's see. Okay. So that's number 12. Let's look at this for a moment. Let's do number 22. Number 22. So number 22 deals with a triangle. And you got to remember something from high school geometry in terms of a triangle. When you look at the interior angles, the angles on the inside, when you add up the three angles, what is their sum? No, that area of a triangle. All right. So in a triangle, if this is angle A, this is angle B, and this is angle C, what do you remember about the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle B plus the measure of angle C? So remember in high school geometry, that little, yeah, I got to figure out what's going on with this. So I think it's because I had alignment or something. Okay, so remember that little m right here means measure from high school geometry. That means measure. This symbol right here, that means angle. Looks like an angle. No, it looks like it, but it means angle. So the measure, this right here means measure of angle A. And so those would be the measure of angle B and the measure of angle C. So if you recall from high school geometry, if you add up all those three angles, what is their sum? Do you remember? 180. 180 degrees. Yes. So the superscript is that little circle right here means degrees. All right. Okay. Now you know.
Yeah. Now I know.
Now you know.
Less than also means angle.
That's not the symbol for that. It looks like less than, but that's not what that is. You gotta,
I'm lost now.
This-
That was good, and now I'm like, oh, okay.
it really looks like this.
Okay.
Angle. All right. Okay. All right, and you see how it kind of looks like this? Like it's a little slanted? All right, angle.
Oh,
Okay?
got it.
All right. Okay, so when you add with three angles, it's supposed to be 180. Okay, so let's look at number 22. Okay, so it says recall.
Or not.
Yeah, apparently not. Recall that the sum of the measures of the angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. All right, so in this triangle below, you're told that, and this is denoted A, and this is B, and this is C. So it says in this triangle below, angle C has the same measure of angle B. So in your thought process, this is what it's saying. The measure of angle B equals the measure of what? Angle C. So that's what that implies here. That's what you just read. They have the same measure. Angle B and angle C have the same measure. So if one's 30 degrees, the other one is what? 30 degrees. Angle A, the measure of angle A measures, so is equal to 40, now here's the word less than, 40 degrees less than angle B. So remember less than, so if you look at this, remember the less than, you got to reverse, right? You got to reverse. So you're going to, and less than means what operation? Subtraction. So you're going to say 42 minus angle B or angle B minus 42?
B minus 42.
Yes, because you got to reverse. Less than, you reverse. So angle A is the measure of angle B. Subtract what? 42. So you got to remember the word less than. You got to reverse the symbols. Okay? All right. They're telling you to let x equal what? In the diagram, what's x equal to?
And the measure of your
Angle B. So listen carefully. Watch what's happening. If this is x right here, then what else has to be x?
C.
C. Okay? So this is x, this is x. See right here, our thought processes?
Yep.
So then that says that angle A is the measure of angle B, but what is the measure of angle B?
X.
X minus what? 42. So how do I represent this angle right here?
X minus 42.
X minus 42. So that's your thought processes. So you're told the measure of angle B is the same as measure of angle C. So if angle B is x, then angle C has to be x. And then A, remember, is angle B subtract 42. All right. So in terms of your unknowns, though, when you write it, you're going to say this. So you're talking about three angles. The measure of angle A, the measure of angle B, and the measure of angle C. Which one's x?
B and C.
B and C. Just like that. Which one's A?
A is X minus 42.
All right, so that's where we're at. So that's our unknowns. Now we're going to set the equation. What do I use to set the equation? No. What do I need to know in order to set the equation? What else do I need to know?
The 180.
The 180. What about that 180? When I add up those three angles, it equals what? 180. So what's my equation? X minus 42 plus X plus X equal 180. So there's your equation. All right. That's the equation. All right, combine like terms. Equal 180. What's the next step? Add 42. So 3x equal 222. Then divide by what? 3. Use your calculator. What's x equal to? 74, is that correct? Looks like it. All right. Okay. Now let's answer the question. Let's go back and use our unknowns. So x74, which means that the measure of angle B is how many? 74 what though? Degrees. Angle C is also what? 74 degrees. And angle A would be 74 minus 42, which is how many degrees? 32 degrees. Okay. And so you answer the question or answer the problem. So you, just like before, you're going to say the measure of the angles are, or the angles measure, and what do they measure? Yeah, now you can say the measure of angle A is 32 degrees, the measure of angle B is 74 degrees, and the measure of angle C is 74 degrees. Or you can just say the angles measure what? 32 degrees, comma, 74 degrees, and 74 degrees. So the angles measure 32 degrees, 74 degrees, and 74 degrees. Okay. All right, now you have, so for the remainder of the period, go ahead and take out, we're not done with this section.
Are we taking a break from it?
So go ahead and take out worksheet, the 9.4A. 9.4A. Now, while you're taking that out, let me show you what 9.4B is. Okay, look at this carefully. Here's 9.4B. So number 1 talks about a wire. So you're going to use those boards. And it's got how many pieces in this case? 2 pieces. To talk about longer and shorter. So use that example we did to help you with this. Notice I broke it down for you. You just fill out this information. 2, it's got how many pieces? 3. We did one like it. Okay, now I'm looking at the back now. Look at the back. 3, you're dealing with what kind of figure? Triangle. What do you notice about the angles of a triangle? They have to be 180. So you can use that idea. And I broke it down. First angle, second angle, third angle.
Do you have a copy of, for some reason I got 2
I'm sorry?
9.4A. Do you have a 9.4B? I got 2 copies of 9.4B.
I don't think I gave out 9.4B yet.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
I thought you said you looked at it.
No, let me look at this.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay?
If we need to draw pictures, can we do it on our own paper and then print it out?
No, just do it up here, because I don't like dealing with scratch paper. It takes too long to deal with. But you have room here.
I don't know.
All right, and then 4 is, see the word this is more than, and then see the word less than again. We did one just like it. Okay.
We reverse that.
Yeah, reverse. Okay, so So look, work on those two worksheets for 15 minutes. You can help each other with this. So you have part A. If you weren't here, I don't have any extra copies of part A. So you just have to work on part B for right now. When you get home, you print part A.
I wonder how I ended up with two. Oh, you already turned it in? Okay.
All right, so go ahead and work with each other on these. I'm passing out part.
These are from.
Okay, I'm passing out the keys to what you turned in today.
What is 9.4A?
Did you make a video of
9 point, I'm sorry, say it again?
what you went over today? Did you have a video online?
I do, but y'all, I'm also gonna put this also up.
Okay, but,
I do, so if you just go to Canvas,
okay.